Welcome to the mental grand. I was literally on my knees in our living room, begging my wife not to leave, while she stood there wearing my boss's white dress shirt, sleeves rolled up, hair still messy from the night before. She looked down at me like I was already someone she used to know and said 5 words that still echo in my head every single day: "You'll never be enough, Jake." That moment completely broke me. But it also lit something inside that refused to stay broken. If anyone has ever told you you're not enough, you're average, or you'll never make it, stick around, because this story is real, and it ends with me owning the entire company she left me for. 9 years ago I was 32, working as lead engineer at Caldwell Enterprises in downtown Chicago. 6-figure salary, corner office with a view of the river, solid benefits. On paper it looked like I had it all figured out. But at home, things were quietly falling apart. Emily and I had been married for 7 years, and more than anything we wanted to start a family. Every month the pregnancy test came back negative, and I watched the light in her eyes dim a little more each time. I'd sit with her on the bathroom floor holding her while she cried, whispering that it would be okay, that we'd keep trying. Then I'd sneak back to my laptop at 2 or 3 a.m., grinding through code, telling myself that if I could just ship one more feature, Richard would finally notice and give me that promotion he kept promising. Friday nights became this ritual of quiet disappointment. She'd cook my favorite meal: steak, garlic mashed potatoes, asparagus, light the candles, open a bottle of the cheap Malbec we both loved. I'd walk in at 9:30 or 10, still in my work clothes, smelling like burnt coffee in server rooms. She'd look up and say softly, "You missed dinner again." I'd apologize, explain the deadline, and she'd reply, "Richard closed a $9 million deal today. Took the whole floor out to Gibson's. You still can't even get them to bump your title?" Those words didn't just sting, over time they started to feel like the truth. Then came the Tuesday that changed everything. A client meeting got cancelled last minute, so I left the office early for the first time in months, excited to surprise her and maybe reconnect. I walked into our apartment and immediately heard her laugh coming from the bedroom, that bright, full laugh I used to think was reserved only for me. Her phone was sitting face up on the kitchen island. A new message from RC Redheart: "Last night was incredible. Tell him yet? Can't stop thinking about you in that hotel bed." My hands were shaking as I opened the thread. 6 months of messages, hotel receipts from places I'd never been, voice notes of her moaning his name, photos that made my stomach turn. One picture showed her wearing the watch I had saved for 6 months to buy her on our anniversary. My knees buckled. I had to grab the counter just to stay standing. She walked out of the bedroom in his white shirt. She froze when she saw me. "How long?" I managed to whisper. "Long enough," she said, no tears, no apology. "Richard makes me feel alive, Jake. He sees me, he values me. You're safe. Comfortable. You'll never be enough for what I want." I dropped to my knees right there on the rug we picked out together, grabbed her hand, tears already streaming down my face. "Please, Em. We can fix this. Counseling, I'll change my hours, I'll do anything. Don't go." She pulled her hand away gently, like she was letting go of something already broken. "I already packed a bag. Don't make this harder." The door clicked shut behind her, and the silence that followed was louder than anything I'd ever heard. The divorce was public and brutal. Richard didn't hide her, he brought her to every company happy hour, every holiday event. At the Christmas party she wore the red dress I had bought her for our 6th anniversary and sat on his lap while people I'd worked alongside for years laughed, took photos, and pretended not to notice me standing alone in the corner. My own team started avoiding eye contact in the hallways. Court was even worse. She showed up wearing the silver necklace from our 5th anniversary and told the judge I was emotionally unavailable and lacked ambition. Richard testified under oath that I was technically competent but not executive material. She walked away with the house, the car, and 24 months of alimony. I was left with my student loans and a 400-square-foot studio apartment that always smelled like old takeout and regret. I sat in my 10-year-old Civic in the courthouse parking lot as rain hammered the roof, and I cried harder than I had since my dad passed away. The woman I'd built my whole future around had chosen the man who signed my paychecks, and deep down, part of me still believed she was right about me. That night I made myself one promise: no drunk texts, no social media meltdowns, no stupid revenge that would ruin me further. Just silence and relentless work. The next morning I walked into Richard's office and quit. He leaned back in his leather chair and smirked. "You'll be back in 6 months begging for your job, Thompson." I never went back. The first 2 years were pure survival. I coded freelance gigs at $35 an hour from a wobbly folding table in my tiny apartment. I ate rice, beans, and eggs every single day until I couldn't stand the taste anymore. I sold my watch, my golf clubs, my dad's old vinyl records, anything that wasn't essential. But every night, no matter how exhausted I was, I worked on my own project, a clean, intuitive project management platform that actually understood how real teams collaborate, instead of the bloated, overpriced software Caldwell was pushing. 18 months in, after 47 straight rejections, one mid-sized logistics company finally took a chance on the beta version. They wired me $180,000 up front. I remember staring at the deposit notification on my cracked phone screen at 3 a.m., tears running down my face, happy tears this time. That money felt like air after years of holding my breath. I hired my first developer, paying him mostly in ramen and equity. Then a second. Then a designer. We pulled all-nighters fixing bugs, celebrated every small win with cheap pizza, and slowly started landing bigger clients. It wasn't glamorous, it was grinding, doubting, pushing through, but it was ours. 6 years after I walked out of Caldwell, Nexus Dynamics crossed $27 million in annual recurring revenue. Still no flashy downtown office, no victory posts on LinkedIn. Just quiet growth and a team that trusted me because they never saw me break. Then last month an old vendor called with news: Caldwell is bleeding out. They lost their top 3 clients, all to you. Debt is crushing them. Richard's quietly trying to sell for whatever he can get. I didn't hesitate. I set up a clean holding company no one could trace back to me. My lawyers made a $14.2 million all-cash offer. They accepted in 48 hours, they had no choice. Closing day arrived. The same 18th floor boardroom where Richard used to pat me on the back and call me kid. I waited in the hallway in a simple navy suit, no tie, heart steady for the first time in years. I let my team go in first. When they called me in, the room went completely silent. Richard sat at the head of the table, tie crooked, face flushed red. Emily was 2 seats down, still working in marketing, still wearing his last name, her eyes wide like she'd seen a ghost. I walked to the front, pulled out the chair, and sat down slowly. I slid the signed purchase agreement across the mahogany table. Effective 9 a.m. this morning, Nexus Dynamics owns Caldwell Enterprises. 100%. Emily's hand flew to her mouth. Richard tried to laugh it off. "Jake? What the hell is this? Some kind of joke?" I looked straight at her, voice calm and even. "You told me I'd never be enough, Em. So I bought the company you left me for." Richard exploded about lawsuits and boards. My attorney slid the termination papers in front of him. "Mr. Caldwell, per the acquisition agreement, your role as CEO is terminated immediately. Security is waiting to escort you while you clear your desk." He looked at Emily like she could save him. She couldn't even lift her head. I turned to her last, tone professional but firm. "Emily, as part of the restructuring, your marketing position is eliminated. You'll receive the standard 4-week severance. Best of luck." She stood on shaky heels. For one long second our eyes locked, and I saw real regret, not for losing the lifestyle, but for throwing away the man who became everything she said he never could. They walked out together. I heard him already raising his voice at her in the hallway before the door closed. I sat there alone, looking out at the Chicago skyline I used to stare at from the 14th floor, feeling worthless. For the first time in 9 years, I let myself really breathe. We turned the company around in 18 months, streamlined operations, saved every job that mattered, and made it stronger than it ever was under him. Today I still run everything from the same modest office I've always had. I don't hate them anymore. I don't even think about them most days. But every once in a while, when I walk into a room full of people who once wrote me off, I remember that rainy parking lot, the sound of that door clicking shut, and the woman who told me I'd never be enough. Then I straighten my shoulders, walk in, and close the deal. Because real revenge isn't loud. It isn't dramatic speeches or public humiliation. It's becoming so undeniable that your success speaks for itself. And if this story fired you up, you're exactly where you need to be. This is the mental grand, where we turn pain into power, doubt into drive, and never enough into watch me. Smash that like button if you've ever proved someone wrong. Drop a comment below. What's the one line someone said to you that you're still destroying every single day? I read every single one. See you in the next one.